See, for media houses, ideology doesn't matter a damn. All that matters is TRPs and the money they make. Got it? So even now, if there's even in those days, if a particular party, if a particular media was running such kind of stories, it's because they were getting money, because people like to listen to that. Today also, I will never blame the journalists, or let me use the word, they're not journalists anymore on television, they're only anchors, okay, who make up when they come and who've got a very good vocabulary, who look, have you observed the anchors are just good looking, pleasant looking,
right?
They're dressed up very well like models, they've got very good communication skills, body language, they have very, very little journalistic skills. Right. Okay, but I'm not going to blame them, okay, because remember, you and me, the entire country or the whole world, like to see interesting, beautiful looking people on our anchor, on our screens. We care a damn about what content they give us.
Namaste everybody, welcome to Citti Media. My name is Sharan Citti, your host. Today we are going to be talking about the state of media and the opposition in India. And this has been a commentary for a while, and a lot of people, regardless of where they present themselves in the political spectrum, have felt the need for that particular change. And this is a topic that I've been conversing with Mr. Sachin Tantry about for a while now. Sachin ji is a political and a media analyst, and he also happens to be a scholar, and he's taught at different universities in Bengaluru. Sachin ji, thank you so much for joining us.
Namaste. Thank you so much for inviting me, Sharan. Good to be on your show.
That brings me to my first question, sir. Now, everybody is talking about how there could be a stronger opposition in India, and the BJP also has felt this at some point. Of course, they would gain a certain electoral advantage with the current state of the opposition. But tell me, what is lacking in the opposition that we see today, and how can this be better?
So, I think I'm glad we're addressing the elephant in the room. That's probably the parliament room, where the problem is we don't have an opposition. Actually, yeah, it is not even a weak opposition. It just doesn't exist. It's a very sad state of affairs that today India is in such a place where we have a very strong government in the center, but there is no opposition at all. Now, the problem is that they are so frittered, they're so broken, and they don't have they're directionless, yeah, and leaderless, and they've not agreed to come on a particular, on a consensus, yeah. So that is really becoming a big problem for this country, and this is almost 7 years. Let us say, for example, 7 years and more now since the opposition is completely not holding the government to task for the right reasons. Please remember, it's not that everything that the government is doing is authoritative or wrong or ideologically aligned. A lot of things, that the current government is doing, in fact, it's dubbed as far more socialistic than the previous governments.
Right.
But then still, the government is either becoming completely bold, or they completely become complacent, saying that there is no opposition, let's do whatever we want. And why you don't blame the current government, you have to blame the opposition for that, because they have not got their game right. Yeah, because it's like there's a very famous saying that look London, talk Tokyo. One person is saying something and their people are doing something else on the ground. And then there is so much of fragmentation. There are like 3-4 types of parties in India. One is somebody dubs themselves as a secular party, and another one is completely identified for their ideology, that is the Communist Party, and the third one is the dynastic parties. This is how the public is now identifying them. They're not identifying them with anything else. Why? And the fourth one is regional parties. Okay, these are the 4 parties that the opposition is made up of, and all the 4 stand for something completely different, and they have never agreed to come on on common ground. Yeah, I'm just trying to set the premise for the opposition's problems and the perils that we're going to get into. Now, all these 4 types of parties have their own problems, And the problem is the people identify them with these things. If you're a secular party, that means you're appeasing minorities. So that's where they lose their steam. Dynastic parties, of course, I think today India has come to a position where if any son or daughter or even a nephew stands for election, even if that person is good, people might not respect them because they're like, hey, you know what, you've got it because of your hereditary. It's nothing to do with your political acumen. The third thing is ideologically, I think today parties with ideology have so easily strayed away from their ideology, and they're just surviving. They're trying everything to do their political survival. Even that is going against them. And the fourth thing is regional parties. The problem with regional parties is that none of them has stood for national causes. So when it comes to national elections, a regional leader is never taken seriously because let's say, for example, if a Tamilian wants to become the national leader, Kannadigas will never vote for them. Similarly, even if an Andhra Pradesh chief minister or leader wants to go for national politics, Telangana will not vote. Look at the amount of fragmentation that we have. So these are all the problems that we have with the current opposition. Okay, and the most important thing that is lacking with the opposition is they do not have a common minimum program. Now, yes, a common minimum program is something that is devised for an incumbent government in power, a coalition government in power. Yeah, I think the opposition should all get together and come up with a common minimum program and agree to disagree on certain things. Whatever it is, you say that, you know what, these are these are all n number of things that we are going to fight for. Yeah, and among these n things, somebody will say, you know what, I do not want to support this because it might be counterproductive to my son, so I will step back first. Fair enough, you don't have to come and, because he or she, that particular party will lose their vote, or that they have been fighting for against that cause for so many years, and now they suddenly can't take a different stand. Here, I think the opposition has to get together and come up with a very, very conclusive plan to fight the current government. Right. And they have to first fight it, not for their political survival. Otherwise, you see, there are n number of tea parties happening in the last 6 months. At least 2 or 3 important parties are conspicuously missing in those, parties. Right. Yeah, I think that is becoming another problem. So it giving us, a wrong message to the rest of them, saying that, hey, what if, I think I also don't want to be a part of this, opposition. I think first and foremost, they all need to come with a common minimum program, arrive at that. There may be reservations on certain things, but I'm sure out of 10 things, they can agree on 6 things at least, right? The 4 things they can choose to support the government, or they say we will abstain, or we'll stay back, or we'll oppose it. That is not happening. Everybody is making sure that they are being highlighted and they're trying to survive politically. I think that is what I would say that, is lacking in the current opposition. Right. And yeah, I think this is what I would.
So I get your point. So you are asking for a opposition that can be critical very constructively, and in a sense present some alternatives to the general public apart from criticizing the government on every possible platform. I get you, and I'm there with you on. I share your views on that. But I have to ask you this, Sachin sir. Especially because there are no commonalities that we see in the opposition parties today. And you spoke about common minimum programs. Now, even during UPA government, they did have such common minimum programs, but they did not see eye to eye on a lot of issues. And also, it was not fruitful at all. We know what happened later in 2014, right? How do you promise the quality? And especially if we look at the state of federalism in India today, now regional parties, even the BJP, say in Karnataka, is not necessarily cooperative with the center on many issues, where the BJP is in power. Now, Naveen Patnaik has been deemed as an example for federalism in India, but several other parties are not cooperative in that sense. So what do you see as a binding factor? And do you see that the current opposition itself need to revive, or do you see a need for an alternative in that sense?
I think the answer lies in reformation in both sides. The current opposition also needs to reform itself, and the current government also has to shun certain strong position it takes. Yeah, because some of these things are very personal also, because it, like let's say for example in Bengal, most of these things are very personal, it's getting.
Mhm.
Yeah, in certain situations it is very personal, and in certain places the regional parties or the state parties also needs to mend or come halfway. One thing, okay, fortunately or unfortunately, we have chosen democracy as a form of government. So you will never get an absolute acceptance of anything. There are going to be some kind of disagreements. I think the beauty is that you need a negotiator in between who can actually talk to both sides and try to arrive at a particular solution which is not damaging for both of them, but it's certainly benefiting the country. But one thing very important that I want to tell the regional parties, the party in power, or anybody else, is that the first thing should be national interest. That
Mhm.
is very important.
Right.
Okay, one state cannot decide saying that, what, this is good for my state, and I'm going to do it at the cost of my country. That's a complete no.
Right.
Okay, because this will lead to problems in the future. I think national interest is something that is no compromise.
So I have to ask you a small follow-up on this, and I may be going a little off topic with this. Now, but we have had these conversations in the past, so which makes me confident that you can answer this uh, elaborately. What we are seeing after 2014 is a phenomenon, especially in the policy circles, in the way in which bureaucracy is functioning. Now, the bureaucracy and the nature of it and the way it is being used is completely different from a pre 2014 era, right? And also, we are seeing a new development in Americanization of Indian politics and how it is happening in two sense. One is that there are a lot of private think tanks coming in who are doing the job of what a bureaucrat is ideally supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that when it comes to political campaigning in India, whether it's the opposition parties or the BJP, it doesn't matter who it is, you see some sort of a professional conduct coming in terms
Hmm.
of political consultancy groups. So, what impact has this had on Indian political system, and how do you see this?
See, again, it has had a mixed impact on India. See, one thing is that we really need to reform the bureaucracy in India. I think uh, uh, it's not right to always blame the politicians for the muck in this country.
Mhm.
Okay, the bureaucrats are also equally involved. I'm not saying everybody, but yes, there are a few people who are actually messing up everything. So we need, I don't want to use the word Americanization of bureaucracy or something like that. I would say that probably we are reviving it, or trying to take the best from other countries and trying to implement that. That is very important. I think one of the best thing is that bringing in people in mid, I'm not getting that word, experts to join the bureaucracy midterm, who are worked in the industry, like technocrats, and it's called some, I'm not getting the name, lateral entry, correct?
Lateral entry,
Yeah,
yeah.
lateral entry. I think that's a very important move, because many bureaucrats don't understand technology. Many bureaucrats don't understand media, the way it is functioning. They are still stuck with printing press. Printing press is a 60 or 1 century old phenomenon. We are
Right.
living in the Facebook, Twitter, social media world. They don't understand you. You can't go make them, head a committee on social media regulations and all those things and ethics. It doesn't make sense. We need to get somebody who has worked in that field and who has had some expertise, or somebody, some researcher in that particular field would be ideal. So I think that is very important. We need to revive this thing, but it also doesn't mean that we completely only hire lateral entry. We need to have a mix. It is very important to have CPD, that is continuous professional development, in the civil servants, right? I think we should give them a year or 2 years sabbatical to go and upgrade their. I think it's happening. Many of them are doing those things, but it should become mandatory if somebody is pursuing a particular line of administration
Right.
or an expertise. That is very important for us. I
Mhm.
think, yeah, that's what I would say about the um, bureaucracy. What was the second part you asked?
Yes, we were speaking about political consultancy and how it's changing the
Yes.
landscape of electoral
I
politics?
think, you know what, I think India is finally embraced political consultancy. I think
Because
it's a
if I have to
wonderful.
summarize, I'm so sorry to interrupt. You were seeing stalwarts of political leaders, whether it's in the BJP or the Congress, coming together and stitching coalitions. Today, you have a marketing expert who is actually doing that. I don't want to take names, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, in that sense, this is a huge change in the political landscape, isn't it?
Okay. So, see, there's nothing wrong in getting people from, marketing field or whatever. If they're good in their job and if they're doing something really nice, I think, some of the best artists are non-art, from the non-arts background. Like I know when I was in radio, some of the best RJs or the best creative people are from the non-creative background. But that's not a problem. But yes, we're getting different kinds of people who are basically upping the game in not only politics. I think we need them. See, the problem is that I think these people who are coming into politics, they are only sticking to electioneering, that is pre-election, during elections, and post-election. I think they need to go beyond this. I think every MLA, corporator, and MP, and a minister, and a party in power should either hire somebody, if they, or they should have a team who's trying to help them out with these things, which is very important. Because see, I also work for a public policy firm, and we train political leaders, aspiring political leaders. And in the training, we give them an all-round training, like 1 hour of each.
Right.
Now, that is basically to make them understand, okay, about what it is. But I'm sure they cannot literally master that topic. So it is very important for all elected representatives to have a specialist to help them with all these things, not only for elections or for their media management or something like that. It has to be done post elections also, even if they lose. Please understand one thing: the many people, the moment they lose, they'll take a break, or they'll say, I'll come back on the fourth year. No, you have to keep your team intact. Of course, money is a problem, but you'll have to figure a way out. I think it's very important for us to have such kind of consultants or in-house. They should make it a very what do you say, open thing. I think even the government should give money for such kind of people, for all elected representatives at every level: corporator, MLA, MP, minister. Please remember, minister also requires even more specialized expertise and think tank. The problem with our Indian IT and our media is such a mess because they are listening to some people who have no idea about the technology or the media. I think such kind of innovation in Indian
Right.
politics and public policy and governance is a very good
Good
sign.
thing you're saying. Right.
And we
So,
also need academic courses for all these things. That
mhm.
has to be promoted now, like public policy, public administration, political science with management. We should not only stick to theory, we have to have a 6 months course on management. It's very important for us. I think all educators or academicians should take this very seriously, bring in management as a subject in all these courses. It's very important. But I would end by saying that it's a good sign. I hope it goes in the right direction.
Right. No, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, we come from a land where we've had Takshashila and Nalanda universities way before any global education system could be actually set up. So we have the repository, we have the resources, and we have the kind of ability and the intent to do so. And I genuinely hope that the political system takes note of whatever you've said. Which brings me to my last question, Sachinji. Now we were speaking about the state of Indian media, and I'll be happy if you include us as well in a critical way. Also, that's absolutely fine. We're open to constructive criticism. So, what do you see? Because in my personal opinion, I see a polarization in the media. Right now, how you have the phenomenon of polarization in the US, especially with the 2016 elections that happened when Donald Trump was elected. You saw the complete polarization happening between Fox and CNN and all such groups. Now, in India too, is that slowly happening? And what can be made better? And what is the solution from now?
Well, the Indian media is very much heading towards the, I think you can now say, Americanization of Indian media. It's very close to it. Just a few more inches or centimeters away from it. If you look at it from a moral point of view, certainly it is not the best thing that's going to happen. But then if you want to look at it practically, it is bound to happen. Okay, because let me give you a background to this. I think till 2012 or 13, there was a unipolar media. Okay, I'm not using, see, I'm not using the word unbiased media, unipolar media.
Right.
Okay, there's a huge difference between these two words. Unipolar means they were all biased towards a particular dispensation, party, or ideology. Okay, and I am not going to blame only the media for it. I think they were also either forced, lured, or coerced into being or taking a particular slant. Okay, but then after 2012 and 13, we suddenly saw a huge uproar against the current dispensation. Okay, now you can't only blame the current party or the opposition part at that time, the opposition party, for all those things. I think the media and a lot of businessmen were sick of the previous political regime. Okay, and even I think the foreign hand was very active. Nobody talks about this. Please remember one thing: 2014 election was not only not only supported by Indians. A lot of forces outside the country also wanted the previous regime to fall. Why? Because of the indecisiveness, all those corruption charges, and I think there's a list of charges, you can find it online. So what happened was there was one set of people who never got their voice in 2012. In 2012, what happened was that it was a free for all game. Yeah, and suddenly they all got funding and support from all corners inside the country and outside the country. And then there was a very strong anti the pre-government movement, and even the pro UPA media also could not sustain their slant anymore, because they would sound really stupid, or they would lose their credibility. I think somewhere down the line, I think after 3-4 months, they gave in and they started questioning the government. Right. Okay. Now, please understand one thing. This transition is very important. This transition is a harbinger of change. Positive, negative, I don't know. Because I'm a very practical person. I would want to say that this happened and this is bound to happen. There was a large set of people who were like, oh my God, 10 years these guys have been looting us and none of us knew about it. And this person or this particular media is talking about it. I think they're doing our job. So that particular media, that particular ideology of that media got a lot of relevance and a lot of traction. And remember one thing, traction, see, for media houses, ideology doesn't matter a damn. All that matters is TRPs and the money they make. Got it? So even now, if there's even in those days, if a particular party, if a particular media was running such kind of stories, it's because they were getting money, because people like to listen to that. Today also, I will never blame the journalists, or let me use the word, they're not journalists anymore on television, they're only anchors, okay, who make up when they come and who've got a very good vocabulary, who look, have you observed the anchors are just good looking, pleasant looking, right? They're dressed up very well like models, they've got very good communication skills, body language, they have very, very little journalistic skills. Right. Okay, but I'm not going to blame them, okay, because remember, you and me, the entire country or the whole world, like to see interesting, beautiful looking people on our anchor, on our screens. We care a damn about what content they give us. So I'm never going to blame the media for this. Of course, they have a moral responsibility towards their job, but I think they're making money, they're becoming famous. That's a different thing altogether. So what happened at that particular time, people were sick of praises of that particular government, and they wanted somebody to ask strong questions. The opposition was not doing a good job even then. Got it? What the current opposition is doing, the then opposition was doing it at that point of time. Okay, and then everybody is wondering, what is this? Why is this? Why are the people fighting in the parliament and all those things? And they found it like a fish market. Yeah. Then what happened? They started moving towards the media for solace. And that is the time when these people came into picture and they become demigods. And today, even if something wrong happens to them, they will say that, look, at that point of time from 2012 to 2014, you spearheaded our causes, so we are going to stand by. And these media houses right now are just playing with that and making money out of it. Simple. So the current scenario of media and politics is something that we have invited. You cannot blame them. Please, all right? We are equally responsible for such kind of reporting from both sides, the right and the left. So that is the current dispensation. It's all about TRPs. If you really don't like certain things or you want to mend the media, stop watching them. Stop watching the media and let them realize that unless and until they give you good stuff, you will not watch them. Simple. There are so many people right now can, even if you get, a package of 10 media, 10 channels, unsubscribe a couple of them. Let them learn the lesson. We will not do that. Hey, free my builder, I'll use it. That's a big mistake. We need to stop buying certain things and send a strong message. They'll fall in line. Nothing is lost. We can still get things back in place. Now, the most important is how to revive the entire thing. I've given you the answer right now. We have to change our consumption patterns. We have to change our outlook towards media politics. Only then things are going to happen. Yes, we need strong, voices of opposition. We need strong journalists. The youth have to come. Social media has made, earlier you need crores of investment in media. Today you don't need. Like, look at you. You are running a media house and you just need a small, laptop, and you have a very nice background also. All those things is done by probably a few hundreds, right? And today you and me are discussing, and tomorrow lakhs and the crores of people are going to watch this. I think such kind of independent media should come up, and people should start looking at such kind of media and it's the mainstream media lesson. And please remember one thing, I'm not looking at shutting them all down. That doesn't make sense. We need everything to run in their own way. We just want to bring in some sanity in media back, and bring in some get rid of all those high paid journalists who are just propagandists. Seriously, everybody is a propagandist in that particular, those anchors rather. None of them are doing any justice, or justice not only to the country, even to their job. I think the money has to be shared down also to the reporters and the cameramen. They put in their lives at stake. I think another suggestion is that media houses should stop pampering their high profile celeb anchors and give more attention to the lower rung and get better people into reporting. And that will be another option. And so, and like media regulation, everybody takes a, like, oh, how can you do that? No, media regulation is important. We need strong media regulation. Like, I think UK has Ofcom. Of course, I don't know how far successful it is, but India also needs a new press law or a media law. We still have a very outdated Telegraph Act covering radio and certain parts of broadcast. We have a completely disoriented IT social. I think the current government is, the current discussion is working on something. We need to bring all the media under one particular act, repeal all the previous ones that completely outdated, bring in some really sensible laws in place. I think so there is a good chance of improving it, but it cannot become perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's hope that it will certainly change for the better. Now, what Sachinji is saying is that the opposition needs to have a very constructive ability to criticize on matters that are very important, and that they must not compromise on matters of national security and national interest. And also, when it comes to the media, he says that, I mean, just to summarize what you're saying, this probably is an offset because of the LPG reforms that we had in the 90s, that media has become more of a performance. Now we have performance journalists and not actual journalists who work on it. Now, in fact, it was because of you that I went on to do my specialization in foreign affairs, because as soon as I graduated from journalism, I realized that there is no area in which I'm actually specializing. Just because you know how to operate a camera and know how to speak fluent English does not mean that you're equipped with the right amount of knowledge to make certain decisions. So in fact, that is very important in today's day and age, Sachin sir. And I hope even I will take a lot of the things that you said. I'll keep that in mind, and we will constructively work on it to be better day every day. And thank you so much for joining us today. It was a fantastic session, and I hope everybody can watch this and sort of reflect on what you've just said. Thank you so much. I know you've been very busy. Thank you so much for taking out your time. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Sharan. I think my last closing words will be is that I just hope India gets a very good opposition. If we don't get our game, in the next 1 or 2 years, forget the next 50 years. Yeah, because we need a national opposition also. If you're looking at a national party, taking a thing, I think the current set of parties, none of them are going to be able to make it. I think something really out of the box has to happen, and we as citizens should really support a very strong opposition, not the current one, which is the complete masala. We all have to. If the opposition is not doing the work, we citizens have to question the government wherever they're wrong. Wherever they're not just asking questions for the heck of it, but I think the need of the hour for this country right now is a very strong opposition. And that's what I would say. Yeah. Thank you, Sharan. Good day.
Thank you so much. And even we are trying to undo the work of the legacy media that has been done for a very long time, and we will keep up with it. So please do like, share, and subscribe to our content. We will be bringing more regular updates. Until then, this is your host, Sharan Citti, signing off.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.